What's up, Build the Kingdom? This is a crossover tube that goes across the back of your Ecotech engine. Well, if you have an Ecotech engine, I guess. 2.4 liter. Ecotech, it's leaking. The O-rings are leaking. And can't have that in a race car. So, got some new O-rings here. Rock Auto part number 1606300. AJ USA. Made in Spain. So, I'm going to swap out the O-rings on this, get this back in there, get it to stop leaking. We're going to change the oil. We already mounted up some tires. Basically, we are preparing for the high bank holdup at Fulton Speedway this weekend. Right now, Mother Nature does not look to be in our favor. She's being kind of menopausal this year. She's kind of all over the place, can't seem to decide what she wants to do. So, hopefully, everything works out, and we were able to go racing this weekend. So, I need to keep prepping. All right, we got the O-ring swapped out on the coolant crossover on the back of the motor. That's not leaking. We got it full of antifreeze. Good on that. I drained out the old oil and swapped out the filter with a new AC Delco. Now it's time to fill her back up with some of the good old 10W30 synthetic blend from CertifiedLabs.com. It's got a really nice green tint to it. It's taking forever, isn't it? Don't want to overflow the valve cover. Oop, shit. Nope, we're good. I know you were thinking, man, it seems like he just put a ton of oil in that thing. This is only a gallon, so 4 quarts, and the Ecotech, they say like 4.9 quarts, or 4.9 ounces or something like that. For the race car, I just put 5 quarts in it. So, I already put 1 quart in before this, so that's where we're at. She's good. I've been using that Certified Labs oil for 4 years now? 4 or 5 years now. We've been sponsored by Certified and using that oil. And I can tell you, it looks pretty much the same coming out as it does going in. Doesn't really seem to break down much. So, that's cool. I mean, I usually run 2 races between oil changes. I'll do two races and then change the oil. And yeah, no problems. We haven't had anything fail because of oiling issues. So, stuff works great. Well, in true Mother Nature fashion, she does not care how much work you did to your race car to get ready for the race. Nope, she doesn't care. Fulton Speedway, high bank hold'em. Hold up, high bank hold up. Rained out. So, unfortunately, no racing this weekend. No collaboration with Sparks and Recreation this weekend. Yeah, just rainy, gross nastiness, which I've been out in all morning, cleaning up the property, helping clean up the property. So, yeah, that's disappointing to say the least. But next Friday, hopefully, if Mother Nature says we can, we will be headed to Ransomville for opening night. I believe it's next Friday. I gotta look at the calendar, but I'm pretty sure next Friday is opening night for Ransomville. And I am itching for some seat time. Gotta get, that's my place of peace. And I need it. So, the car is pretty much ready. It's actually still has the Ransomville tires on it, because I didn't even get a chance to put the tires on for Fulton. So, it's pretty much ready to go for Ransomville. Short of me welding a trunk pin on, because one of them broke off. But, that's not a big deal. And I lost a couple of my hood pins. The actual clip, so I need to run the trailer place and grab some of those. It's right down the road, no big deal. So I don't know what we're going to do right now. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe I'll drag the 363 transmission in here and break that down and weld up the diff. That needs to happen for promo. So got to get something done. Can't just, you know. All right, so I pulled my 363 off the shelf, my spare. Brought it in here, threw it up on the bench. First things first, I sprayed a little penetrating oil on this shift mechanism here. I live in the north, as most of you know, and stuff is rusty usually when we take it off parts cars. So, especially since this has been sitting on the shelf out back for probably 5 years at least. It's the only other 363 trans that I had. So it was my spare for my car, and it's been out there on the shelf, but we need to take this apart and weld it up so we can put it in promo. So I sprayed this all down with penetrating oil, made sure that everything's, you know, moving fairly freely, functioning as it should, because that can get gummed up. Probably wouldn't hurt to put a little grease on that, but I sprayed it with penetrating oil, everything's moving freely. Then I pulled this bottom drain plug out, drained all the oil down there into a pan. I actually tipped this up on the bench, kind of against me like this, and moved it around, got all the oil down into that section to get as much oil out as I could. There is a full video on how to do this, if you scroll back in the archive a little bit, on how to weld up these F23 transmissions. I'm going to walk you through it a little bit here as I go. I probably won't be quite as detailed as the original video. There's some nuances and tricks and stuff to it that, you know, I'll try to show you, but it's been done before. I've gone through this a couple of different times with you guys, so we're gonna weld up this transmission. All right, so let's get this out of the way for a second. Probably the worst part about doing this is right here. You have to take this metal seal out of here, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. Behind it is this oil slinger that goes in there. There is a hole through the middle of it, so if you poke a hole dead center, you don't screw this up, but it's really easy to screw this oil slinger up that goes in there. And it's kind of hard to get this thing out without messing it up. And these can be hard to come by. Don actually has some in stock right now, but not everywhere has these seals. They're kind of a pain in the butt to get. In the past, we would drill that hole in the center. We'd run a screw in there and try to pop it out with a slide hammer. This one I kind of messed it up a little bit with my screwdriver trying to get it out of there. But you can get these out, reshape them, and put silicone and stuff on them and put them back in and reuse them. Technically, the one in my car is like that, and it has been for like 6 years. So if you're very careful getting this piece out, you take your time and you try not to deform it too bad, you can kind of hammer it back into shape, put some right stuff on it. I think on mine, we cut a piece of aluminum and we right stuffed where the hole was, stuck the aluminum on there, and then right stuffed over the piece of aluminum, I think is how mine is on my car. It's been a while since I actually paid attention to it. But behind this is this bolt that holds this bearing. It's got a lot of red Loctite on it. So very carefully, you can warm it up with a torch. But you got to be careful because this is a rubber sealed. My torch just fell off the table. This is a rubber sealed bearing here, so you don't want to get the rubber too hot. But you do want to warm that up a little bit because of the red Loctite. And then it's an 8mm. I cut an Allen wrench off and put an 8mm socket on it, and then I used my breaker bar. It's a little bit tight. It's a little bit hard to get out of there. So you take that out. So seal comes out, oil slinger comes out. Then you got to get this bolt out of here with your Allen. In order to get this out, you need to be able to hold this shaft, which is why we've got this special tool made. Again, back in the archives, you will find me, a short actually, I believe, of me making this tool real quick. This is the center out of an old clutch pack. Just cut it out, weld a piece of pipe to it or whatever you've got kicking around so it fits in this little pocket over here. Holds the shaft so that you can take this bolt out. You can use a small pipe wrench. You just have to be careful not to screw your splines up. So, more than one way to skin a cat, right? So once you get this all out of here, then you can go around and take these bolts out. They are reverse Torx, but if you have a 6-point, 10mm, fits right over it, it'll take them out. So you don't need a special tool for the reverse Torx, just a 6-point, 10mm will take them out of there. So you gotta take all those out. There's a bunch of them. I'll count them here in a minute and let you know how many there are. But after you take all those out, you should be able to split the cases and pull the differential out. All right, as you can see, I got the case split here. It's your ring for doing speedometer. You don't really need that anymore because it's a race car, so you can take that out of there. And there were 19 bolts that hold this case together. I think there's 9 that come in from the back side, and the rest are all up here on the front. You gotta find them. There's 19 total. If you don't have 19, it ain't gonna split. So split it apart. Now we'll pull this out of here. It just literally pulls right out. No big deal. Like I said, this is a 363. So this gear here should have 19 teeth on it, and it does. I don't remember what the count on this one is, but if you watch the older video of us doing this, that was also a 363, and I think we actually mentioned what the count was on these teeth. There is a way to put the axles in and mark them with a paint marker and spin it and figure out what ratio you have. I was actually just talking to Don about that. We might try to do a video on that. I don't know if we've done a video on that before, where we show you how to count the rotations on the input shaft versus how many times the axle spins, and you can actually figure it out that way with a little bit of a math problem. I don't know if we've actually showed you guys that or not. So maybe in a future video we will we'll show you how to figure that out. There's only 4 options. All right, if you haven't watched before, you're new to this. There's 4 options. Most Cobalts have a 384 transmission in them. Majority. Some have a 363 like this. I think there might have been a couple G5s. Same, basically G5 Cobalt, same thing. XFE, Extreme Fuel Economy, the trunk tag, the silver tag in the trunk, if there's an FY1 code on it, then it should technically be a 363, as long as it hasn't been swapped out at some point in time. They're a little bit more rare. I prefer the 363. For the tracks that I drive here, I'm able to move tire sizes and hit most of my local tracks without having to swap out a transmission. So 384, 363, and then the HHRs had a 417 gear ratio transmission, and the Saturn Views had a 441. So some of those bigger tracks where you guys are going to run third gear, you're going to want that 441 probably. I have one welded. It's sitting right there on the floor that I use if I go to like Pittsburgh or something. I got to have a bit of a bigger transmission. When I went to Utica, Rome last year, I was on a welded 363 with a giant tire, and I was just clipping the rev limiter right at the end of the straightaway. So I mean, I was revving it up pretty good. I was really beating on it. 441 third gear, most guys run. 417. I mean, some guys use them. I guess it depends on what size racetrack and what you're trying to accomplish there. But 384, 363, those are your most common. And then you guys running the big tracks, 441. On the 441, the front transmission mount is different. You got to drill and tap a couple holes to use the Cobalt transmission mount, but not a big deal. The shape of the case is still there. They just didn't drill and tap 2 of the holes, I think. So yeah, little things you got to mess with. But anyways, this is out. Now we're gonna put this on the floor and weld it up. Take some brake cleaner. I'm going to clean this thing out really good, and then I will put axles in it because we want to make sure everything's lined up. We don't want to weld this, put it back in the car, and not be able to get the axles in it. That would be terrible. So I'm going to clean it with brake cleaner. I'm going to get it down here on the floor where I can safely weld it. I'm going to put the axles in both sides of it. I will go around and I'll weld the 4 spots here where the gears touch first, and then I'm going to cut some plates. I got this steel plate here. I'm going to cut some pieces to put in there and completely weld all the way around. All right, as you can see, I got the diff set back down in the transmission now. On the back side here, there is a little magnet that you can take out and clean off if you want. It will have a bunch of metal shavings on it. Imagine the amount of metal shavings that this creates. It's a bunch of gears rubbing together. Yeah, it's in oil, but it's going to have metal shavings all over it. You can pull it out, clean it off if you want, put it back in. Whatever. Anyways, at this point, we were ready to start going back together. After I got this all welded up, I did take some brake cleaner and flush it all out good, especially these bearings, because I was just on the dirty floor and we're welding and there's slag and stuff flying all over the place. So I did take the brake cleaner, stuck the hose right down in there, clean these bearings out good. They're going to get oil bathed as soon as you fill it back up with oil. So, but I don't want any slag and crap inside the bearing. So you saw me weld up the gears and then pop the axles. The axles were in. I welded the gears, I popped the axles out, and then put the plates in and welded. Once the gears are welded together, they can't move. But get the axles out of there before you get slag all over them. After you get the gears welded. And then I went back and took some scrap off the table here, cut some plates, welded them in there. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it does the job. So the diff is welded. We can put it back together. This surface here is a machined surface. There is no gasket for it. I know that seems kind of crazy, but yeah, it tightens back up and seals. So there's really no gasket material to put back in here. You don't need to silicone it or anything. Just bolt it back together. And that's it. You put it back together. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put it back together. You know what I mean? All back together. Brand new luck throwout bearing there, or slave, whatever you want to call it, throwout bearing. Yeah, I've said this before. Stock replacement. That's all I use. I use the Luck LUK stock replacement clutch kit. I use the Luck flywheel. I've never had an issue. Stock replacement parts. I know you guys, you're building a race car and you want, lightweight flywheel and stage quadruple magnificent clutch. Yeah, I've only ever heard of people having problems with that stuff. So I use stock replacement, Luck, LUK for all my clutch stuff. It's all stock, okay? It's not a good idea, but I've even reused flywheel bolts. I will probably reuse flywheel bolts on this when I put this on the motor. It's not a good idea. You probably shouldn't do it. Put a little Loctite on there, tighten them up. And the next question is going to be, well, what was the torque spec on everything you just did? I don't know. Google it. I just tighten it up. But if you're worried about it, go ahead and Google the torque specs. That's it. That's done. This is done. I don't have to worry about this anymore. This is good. Putt Motorsports did shoot me a message last week. The motor is ready to be picked up. It's all done. And it's ready to be mounted to the transmission and put in the car. Andy is, about halfway or so through building the harness. And then Brian is totally booked up doing graphics. So we're trying to coordinate some stuff there, but we're close. We are oh so close to having promo ready. And then we can maybe start getting some guest drivers in. I don't have anybody scheduled yet, which I guess partially on purpose, partially because people don't answer messages. But the car's not ready, so I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself this early in the season trying to schedule something when I don't have the car done. So when the car is done, I will hammer down on scheduling some drivers. I got a couple of close buddies that obviously I can call and they'll pretty much drive it whenever, so it won't take long to get the first couple weeks in there. But we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it here. That's all I'm gonna get done on this episode, I think, because I need to mow my lawn, and I'm gonna go get Ghost out of storage. That's what I'm gonna do for the rest of today, because the sun's out and they're down working on the property right now. So if I run into a problem, somebody's there. But yeah, the transmission's done. We didn't get to go racing. Mother Nature may let us go next week, may not let us go. The forecast right now does not look good. She looks like she's going to do some menopausal bullshit again. Whatever, Mother Nature. I can't fight her. It is what it is. I guess we'll see what happens next week. Keep it creative and happy building.